Hello everyone, happy Friday, the Friday of full moon weekend, which starts on, which is on Sunday. I don't know, I'm like, what is this right here? Sorry, this is the problem with these IG lives, right? You can just really look at yourself and be like, wait, what's happening with my face right now? Anyway, so I'm Tosca Di Matteo. I'm founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and this is my Feisty on Friday platform. So I'm here to talk to you today about where you are right now is perfect. And this might be actually it might be a message for myself too, if I'm honest. Actually, I had a really inspiring conversation with a dear friend of mine today, Kiera, who has the company Meet Your Magic, which is awesome. Go check her out. It's meetyourmagic.com, and she does work in human design. And if you haven't heard of human design, definitely check out her website. It'll share all about it. But anyway, I was having this conversation around just feeling like I was in a good place, and then I kind of took a few steps back, and now I just feel like I'm trying to find my mojo again, right? And it was this conversation about this reminder, right, about how hard we are on ourselves around not being where we are, right? How often do you say, or think to yourself, oh man, I should be somewhere else by now, or I should have been able to get a new job by now, or I should, right? And it's just like this destructive way of thinking, right? It doesn't help us to constantly play the loop in our head that we should be somewhere else other than where we are. So this Feisty on Friday is to remind you, and if it's not a reminder, then to tell you you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and I do believe that. First of all, we can't be anywhere other than where we are right now. So what value is it to tell ourselves that we're not where we're supposed to be? And I think that we have willpower, or we have free will, but also I think there are bigger things in place for us. The universe wants to give us what we want, what we desire, and it's constantly trying to find those ways to do that, or to delight us. At least that's the way that I think about it. And if I think that way, then I have to honor and trust that things are happening for me and not to me, and that I am where I'm supposed to be, because there's a bigger picture at play that I can't see. And for me, I think reminding myself of that is very helpful. And finding my way into really embodying that and believing it it's a practice, right? It's at least for me it is. And I think one of the things that creates this inner critic within us is this comparison that we get caught up in. The only reason why we think we should be somewhere else is because we're making some comparison to something, and maybe it's a ridiculous standard, or maybe it's a standard that makes no sense, or a fake standard, or that what happens is that the people that are able to get to certain places are then celebrated if they're doing it within a certain time frame, the 30 under 30 lists, stuff like that, and then it just kind of props this up on this pedestal to say well, you should be able to do things this fast, you should be able to achieve this level of success this fast if you're really awesome. So I think we just have to be really careful. What are we comparing to, and how is that actually serving us? And let me tell you, comparison never serves us. I really don't think it does. The famous quote, comparison is the thief of joy. Absolutely. Because what it means is that you're not celebrating where we are. And that's 100% like that celebration, like energy is what serves us. It's what brings in more celebration. It's what attracts us to what is meant for us, because we're appreciating what we do have and what we were able to get to by this moment in time, you know? So, yeah, sit on that one for a hot minute. I think too, there's like these expectations, right? Whether it's, you know, our parents, society, our friends, you know, and constantly inundating us with messages about like, well, you know, if you haven't, you know, done this by now, you should move on. And when we listen to those people, that means we're not paying attention to our own clock, our own flow, because our timing may look very different than what somebody else thinks our expectation should be. You know, let's just talk about, right, starting a business, right? You know, I think I've talked about my husband's business before, right? Like he launched a business right when COVID started. And so what are the expectations about, you know, building that now? Who knows? Nobody knows. And actually that's probably the best possible thing, is to not know how quickly you can ramp up a business, because you kind of give it more time and space, if that makes any sense. You know, like it's just, how do we be kinder to ourselves, not set unrealistic expectations, or allow ourselves to shift our expectations, right? And especially when it comes to like ourselves and where we are. And I think that what happens when we tell ourselves these stories about like, I'm not where I want to be, is that what we're doing is we're not honoring ourselves as human beings. We're more focusing on human doings, you know? And I love that. Like there's this guy, Joe, he runs this like LinkedIn program, and he talks about, I'm a human being, not a human doing. You know, because I think like the mindset of like human doing is that like, I feel like it gives some false sense that you're actually in control of the outcomes, and you're freaking not. You're not in control of the outcome. You're only in control of your actions or non-actions, you know? And I think that's part of what plays into this like problem of expectations that we have, because it just forces, like it does a lot of forcing and driving more than it does create space for opening, allowing, and expanding, you know? And I think, especially in my work as a career coach, this comes up so much, where, you know, people just want to get there, and they say, okay, I should be able to do this in 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, and it's like, you have no idea who is going to offer you a job when, and you can't force it. Again, you're not in control. So the only thing you can do is pay attention to who you're being and honor that which is within you, that's guiding you in terms of what to do or not to do. And that's, you know, that's a different way of thinking, you know, for a lot of us. So I offer you that. I think that for me, you know, when I start telling myself the story about like, I'm not where I want to be, it's really just a great excuse to beat myself up some more. Cause I'm really good at doing that. I really am. I'm good at beating myself up. So it's kind of like this way my inner critic gets in there and is like, oh, wait, you think you're happy? Let me give you another reason why you should like not be so happy, you know, because you're not where you want to be. So be careful about using this as a tool to beat yourself up. And how can you give yourself more kindness and more grace when those thoughts start coming in? How can you remind yourself how far you have come? How can you remind yourself of what you have accomplished? and what energy has shifted within you in terms of achieving the goals that you want and going in the direction that you're headed. Give yourself more credit, and hopefully that will quiet some of those inner critic voices that are telling you you're not there yet. And I think that, it is, your journey is all in your divine timing, right? And that you can't move any faster than you are, right? You just are living your life in the way that you know how, in the way that you can. And so there's just acceptance to that, right? And to say, oh, I wish I was here by now, is kind of almost not really honoring what's possible by being exactly where you are in this moment. So let me give you an example. I just read the book, The Sun Does Shine. And that was about a gentleman who was innocent and wrongly incarcerated for 30 years. A black man, of course, because we know how fucked up the system is. And, I think about the fact that, holy shit, he spent 30 years in prison, like on death row. But then when he got out and he was like 60, then he had this like amazing opportunity to share his message of choice and share his message of love, of forgiveness with the world, and having like incredible conversations. Now, that's not to say, oh my God, it's a good thing that he went to jail. Look at all these opportunities. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that we don't know what's ahead for us either. And so how can we just honor each moment, live in the moment, and find gratitude in those moments, find the celebrations in those moments, and stay open to not knowing what's possible with the pace of our journey, And I think there's something, right, like everybody's in their own timing, right? But then there's like this swath, right, of people that like they generally follow the same type of timing pattern, right? And there's beauty in all of it. There's beauty in all of it. So if we think about, right, it's spring, right? If we think about those first tulips that come out of the ground, those first daffodils that come out of the ground, right? We're always like, oh my God, there they are. It's spring. It's amazing, right? And that brings us such joy, like these early bloomers, right? And then you have like the swath, right? Like the big grouping of tulips that come up together, and then they create this like splash of color, and it's just like eye-popping and mind-boggling. It's beautiful, right? And you're like, oh my God, look at that beautiful field of tulips. It's stunning. It's stunning, right? Because all the tulips came up at the same time, and that's beautiful too, right? And then the spring is winding down, it's getting warmer, and like you're waiting for those summer blooms, but then you have those late blooming tulips, and you're like, oh my God, look at that stunning tulip. It's just like this lone tulip out there after everything bloomed and died, but this one is like the late bloomer, and I can see it better, right? I can see it, it stands out, it's differentiated, and it's also bringing me joy. So how can you look at where you are in this moment to honor the beauty of where you are? Like I said, this might be a lecture for myself. No, I don't lecture on Fridays. This is Feisty on Friday. This is like my soapbox Friday. So some, hopefully that offers some different ways of thinking about where you are. And I think the last thing I want to leave you with is that really and truly, and if you take nothing else away from this conversation, really and truly, I believe the magic of life happens within the empty spaces, right? Within the downtimes, within the quietness within us, within the times that we're not thinking and trying, because it's in those spaces of quietness in which our creativity can come forth. It's in those calm moments that we can let ourselves drop into our bodies and just honor that all we have is this moment. So if you're feeling like it's spring, you wish you were somewhere else, you wish you were doing something else, you wish you had accomplished that goal that you set out, like, it's okay. You are exactly where you're meant to be. And just keep the faith and come back to yourself, find the quiet spaces, and discover the magic. I hope that this gave you some new thoughts as we enter into this new weekend with the full moon that has lots of magic associated with it. So yeah, I invite you to check out some full moon meditations if it calls to you. It can help you kind of reset and, you know, kind of rethink where you are and kind of shift some things. So give it a shot. I hope to see you next Friday. This is Tosca Di Matteo, and ciao for now.